الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد، رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربي زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. My dear respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, we are well on our way into 2019, as today is the beginning of February. But this year has already proven to be a turbulent one, with a government shutdown ending after 35 days, costing our economy $11 billion. $3 billion in the last quarter of 2018 and $8 billion in the first month of the first quarter of 2019, according to Forbes Statistica, $3 billion of which will never be recovered. 800,000 federal employees are going back to work with a backlog of work, awaiting their back pay. As we all know, here in America, many of us live paycheck to paycheck. Matter of fact, according to a report by Career Builder, 78% of full-time workers live paycheck to paycheck here in the United States of America. Now, what I've highlighted to all of you is two major problems: the welfare of our economy and the welfare of the members of our community and our society. We need to be cognizant of this. Even though many of us may claim it didn't bother us, it didn't affect us, nor did we see any drastic changes in our world. We woke up in the morning when the government was shut down, and we woke up in the morning when the government reopened. We don't see any change. But you see, my brothers and sisters in Islam, that's exactly where the problem lies. Until I don't see it, until I don't feel it, until I don't experience it, to me that's not a problem that you should be discussing. That's the problem. When our economy suffers, we all suffer. When our neighbors go hungry, we all should go hungry in understanding what that entails. When a person is unable to pay their paycheck of their rent, they're unable to pay their electric bill, they're unable to pay their gas bill, they're unable to bring food to the table for their children and for their spouse, this is not just their problem, it's your problem also. O Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how far have we gone from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The hungers and the pangs of hungers of others was his problem. The sufferings of others was his problem. The cries of others was his cries, and the tears that they shed were the tears that he also shed. But today I haven't come to you to talk to you about the economy. I have not come here to talk to you about the government shutdown. Rather, we all have a much bigger problem at hand, which I feel needs to be discussed today in our khutbah. According to World Economic Forum, there are three big threats facing our world in the year 2019. Again, three biggest threats facing our globe in the year 2019. Yes, the economy is vulnerable, not just here, but also around the world. But that is number three of the three. Yes, the weather has become violent and extreme. We saw with examples in Chicago and Minneapolis mimicking -70. But that's number two on the list. Number one is what we need to talk about, learn about, and be determined to solve as one unit. For it is our religious obligation as much as it is our world's problem. The topic of my khutbah today is the plague of loneliness amidst the people of togetherness. I'm sure you understood by now. Number one, according to the World Economic Forum, the biggest and greatest problem facing our world today is loneliness. Studies show that loneliness is as toxic as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It has been deemed a global epidemic. Over 50% of people who live in major cities like Paris live alone. In the UK, 31% of housing is for people who are single, and 50% of those who are 75 and older live alone. They haven't spoken, understand this, they haven't spoken to a person for over a month. When problems came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first thing he did was put his feet in their shoes. It is due time that we put our feet in the shoes of those in our world who are suffering. Here at home in the United States of America, an alarming statistic surfaced that the number of close friends that a person has fell from an average of 3 to 2. And that happened at the change of the millennium. And the number of people with no close friend tripled. Even though studies show that people spend 24 hours a week online, the problem of real human interaction void couldn't be any worse. What does loneliness result in? Loneliness results in depression, anxiety, and mental disorders. Now, what I've presented to you today is the globe's problem, the world's problem, America's problem, our problem. The question that we need to ask today is, how did Islam address it? How did Islam solve it? Or did Islam fail to even notice this problem? I want to point out to you 6 pointers that prove that not only did Islam acknowledge this problem, but it nipped it before it became an epidemic. And it created a culture that would prevent loneliness from occurring at any time, at any given place, amongst any people. Number 1, we are termed ummah. We are termed one nation, one people. We have been pushed to come together because there are more benefits in coming together than you can see with your naked eye. Islam teaches us to abstain from being idle or in seclusion for a prolonged period of time because it could lead to bad thoughts and it could lead to the waswasa and whispers of the shaitan. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu narrated that a man asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is the best thing in Islam? He said, feeding others and giving the greetings of salam to those who you know and those who you don't know. I.e., a Muslim at all time in pursuit of greatness does the greatest thing that breaks ice before ice forms, and that is saying salam to people that you know or you don't know. Number 2, it tells us to come together often, daily, to prayer in order we can unite. the congregational prayer isn't solely for the purpose of praying. Remember this, brothers and sisters. Because this can be contradicted by the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he stated, Allah has made the entire earth a masjid. The entire earth is a masjid. You can pray anywhere except for a place of filth or a bathroom. You can pray anywhere. A masjid is a place where Allah encourages us. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam inspires us to frequent. Why? Because when we frequent, we will unite. When we unite, we'll be together. When we're together, we'll abstain from the disease that's plaguing our society known as loneliness. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu reports that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Salah in congregation is 27 times more meritorious than salah performed individually. Come together, pray together, say salam to one another, speak to one another. Make yourself that ummah that's defined as one people. Number 3, Islam teaches us to inquire of those in their absence. It was the habit of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he would inquire about people that he never saw for a day or two. Where is so-and-so? Where is so-and-so? Because in his eyes, he understood no one is deemed insignificant. No one is lower than himself. Everyone is important. Hence, everyone should be given that due importance. It is reported that there was an African lady, hadith says man or woman, that used to clean up the masjid. And she died. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came back from a journey and he was told upon inquiring, where is she? Oh, she died and we buried her. He said, why didn't you inform me? If Umar radiallahu anhu died, you would have told me. But she died, you didn't tell me? What's the standards I use when I engage with people? When I get a notification of a janazah and I have the ability to go, I first ask myself, do I know that person? If I don't know that person, why do I need to go? It's a waste of my time. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, why didn't you tell me about her? He went and asked, where is her grave? They showed him her grave and he prayed Salatul Janazah over it. Number 4, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged us in our deen to express love to one another by simply saying the words, Uhibbuka fillah. I love you for Allah. You don't know the person. You don't have any transactions with the person. You have no business dealing or blood ties with that individual. But you come together, you frequent the masjid together, you sit alongside each other. You can say to your fellow brother, and our sisters could say to their fellow sisters, I love you for Allah. And if you think that is not good to say, then recall what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. 7 categories of people will be under the shade of Allah's throne. One of them will be 2 individuals, yatahabban, they used to love each other for Allah. May Allah make us amongst that category. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Number 5, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged us to visit one another and to treat our guests well. Go and see your fellow friends and family in the community. Go and visit your fellow Muslim brethren and inquire about them. Give salam to them. Take something to them. Or if not, invite them to your place. Because today, due to our negligence of this perfect, flawless Sunnah, the world is seeing the ricochet effect of it. When we discarded it, when we abandoned it, we had excuses. I am busy. In one home, we don't have time for each other. The result is exactly what the world has picked up on. It's not problem number 3. It's not problem number 2. It's problem number 1 in 2019. And last but not least, of the 6 pointers that highlight that our Islam identified this to be a problem. Hence, it set forth a method, a culture, a process that would prevent us from seeing it in the first place. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in hadith, to the near meaning, for us to come together and have our differences is better than staying alone in seclusion and not facing problems. I don't want to come to the masjid. I don't want to go with those people. Why? Because they talk too much, or there's always too many cliques and problems. Guess what? Your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, overlook those cliques, overlook those problems, overlook those obstacles. Your coming together is better than staying alone under the assumption that we're not going to have any problem and we'll have peace of mind. It's not called peace of mind. It's called misery. Now I ask you all a simple question. We know the problem. We know the teaching. Where can all of this be done? Let's rent out a hotel and go sit down together once in a month. Or matter of fact, let's all go to the mall and shop together. Or let's all go and swarm a restaurant and sit down and eat together. Or let's go to someone's house and sit together and socialize. It cannot be done in these places, my dear brothers and sisters. The only place this is meant to happen is in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The role that a masjid plays psychologically, physically, and spiritually is much greater than you and I can comprehend. Today, the sad reality is we have gone too far away from these teachings. If there's someone I don't agree with, I will do my utmost best. It will become my vendetta to make sure I run them out of my masjid. When our existing members, our visiting members, and especially our converts and reverts, the new Muslims, are the most precious assets to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to stop victimizing one another. We can no longer play this game. Because the longer we play this game, the world will fill up, the masjids will empty out, the problems will become an epidemic that cannot be solved, and the solution will become stale and expire. We all have differences. We all will continue to have differences. Our differences stem from differences in ideology of school of thought or interpretation of a hadith. Let those differences remain. But I promise you, no one is different because of those differences. Number 2, everyone seems to have something to say, but no one has the resolve and the patience to listen. You may see something different. Before we speak, try to listen. For remember, we are only as good as how we empower others to become better than us. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ never said that, Sahaba, take it easy. Khulafa Rashideen, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, take it easy, take it easy. Don't come up too fast because you're coming close to my position. No. Stay there. I'm the Prophet, you stay there. No, he empowered every soul from Bilal Habashi to Sahib Rumi to become better than him. He inspired them that they could believe that we can become the Prophet ﷺ. We could follow his footsteps and maybe go a few steps further. Why not? Because he was the messenger. He guided us so we can reach our potential. Our biggest problem today is that our new Muslim folks are feeling so isolated in our communities. According to many statistics and sources, around 20,000 Americans convert to Islam every year. But according to a 2017 Pew Research Center study, an estimated 24% of those who are born Muslim leave Islam. This is fact. We are so happy when someone comes to Islam, but we don't want to understand or acknowledge how many are leaving Islam. problems. Problems that need to be addressed. Problems that need a place, a source where they can be addressed. And if anyone here feels it can be done outside the masjid, then let me know where. I will go there. The biggest problem I see beyond these two statistics is how many people are leaving the masjid and not coming back. Forget 20,000, forget 24%. I'm confident it's in the number of 40% or higher. When we become the source that leads people to leave the place of unity and togetherness and love and becoming an ummah, remember, my dear brothers and sisters, we will never succeed. We are only destined to fail. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and minds to understand the true problem that faces us at this hour and allow us to take the steps along the 6 guidelines that were taught to us by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to inculcate them into our lives, to live by them, and to make the ummah whole once more. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we leave home every day to come to our home here, so that we can take our home back to the home and make the home a home for all. There is something here that we need to represent. There's something here that we need to create. There's something here that we need to develop. There's something here that we need to harness. And there's something here we need to take from here elsewhere. If we want stronger homes, they come from the masjid. If we want stronger families, they come from the masjid. If we want rooted individuals, they're made in the masjid. People like putting their seal, made in America, made in China. We as Muslims are made in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is time for the masjid to represent just that and nothing else. For this is the home of all homes, and the home for those who have no home. No one is judged, no one is questioned, and no one is looked down upon. There's a story my friend and scholar told me many years ago, that a caravan was leaving from Sham, from Syria for Hajj. And along the way, they saw a man who was known in the community to be a drunkard. He would drink in excess and be laying on the floors at odd hours of the day, drunk. It was attached to his name, rather they called him the drunken one. When the Hajj caravan was moving, they stopped and said, "Hey, so-and-so, come, let's go." He said, "Where are you going?" They said, "We're going for Hajj." He started laughing. He goes, "You want me to go for Hajj?" And he's drinking. "You wanted me to go for Hajj?" He said, "Yes, you come to Hajj also." So after persuasion, what he did was he hid a few bottles into his jacket. And he sat down with the caravan. As the caravan was moving along, reciting Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik and hymning the praises of Allah, there he was, taking a few sips. And someone saw him. And they pushed him out of the caravan. And they beat him. And they beat him. And they broke his bottles. "What is wrong with you? You're going to Allah's house and you're drinking. Shame on you." He asked for forgiveness. He said, "Let me just go." When he got to the house of Allah and everyone entered the masjid to make their tawaf, for 3 days, brothers and sisters, 3 days he didn't enter the masjid. He stood outside the door of the masjid, put his head against the wall, and he cried and he cried and he cried. That, "Oh Allah, what did I do to my life? Oh Allah, forgive me. He created an environment where people stopped entering the masjid to make tawaf. Rather, they stood outside behind him and they cried and repented for their sins. We have brilliance amongst us. The masjid is a platform to unearth it and build it in a selfless way. The deprived and the despised are our bread and water, our sustenance and our divine assistance, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in a hadith, فَإِنَّمَا تُرْزَقُونَ وَتُنْصَرُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. So I want us to start on a game plan here in this masjid. From this point onward, this masjid will be a conducive place where we will meet up daily and weekly. It will be a meet-up place where we could just come together and speak to each other, understand one another, help one another, give a shoulder to one another. If you can't give a shoulder or you can't give from what's in your pocket, then just give an ear to listen. For remember, there are people in our society today, they haven't seen the face of an individual or spoken to another individual for weeks, if not months. Number 2, inshallah, we're going to create a system here where we'll go and visit the hospices and hospitals, regardless of the gender, race, or religion, and sit with them because they are also the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will then strengthen our community street by street, harnessing the talent of this ummah, not wasting it. As I end, my dear brothers and sisters, I have one request from the community. You can see now very clearly how the problem and the solution come together in our masjid. The solution is here. We need to make that solution happen. Not just for me, not just for my people, but for the entire humanity. It's our obligation, and Allah will ask us, what did you do when the call came? In your society, what did you do to solve it? Brothers and sisters, many of us have good intentions, but sometimes it's bad execution. If there's someone you may differ with, there's a new Muslim, a convert, or a visitor who's coming to the masjid, I plead to everyone, leave them alone. Don't say anything to them. If they have questions, there are scholars here in this masjid and every masjid that can address their concerns. Let us learn to stay in our lanes and serve humanity with love and respect. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter number 16, verse number 43, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you don't know something, let those who know address the situation. I met with a convert this week who converted 32 years ago. And for the last 20 years, he's been living a life of seclusion. He wakes up, eats, and sleeps alone every day for 20 years. He is a man of great potential and great qualities. I love him for the sake of Allah. And he told me, I want to kill myself because I have no one. When I became a Muslim, I lost everything. If you can keep this story in the back of your head, never shall it ever occur again in this masjid that anyone walks out alone on the day of Eid, that anyone walks out alone after Salatul Jum'ah. We are one ummah, we are one family. We need the masjid and we truly need each other. And that is why we're calling on you at this fundraiser. It is time for us to answer the call. The problems are growing. They are plaguing us one by one. Support your institution, support your masjid, especially when we are determined with a goal in front of us, with a process to reach that goal, with a path that we have paved out and articulated to the community. If we do this together, inshallah, we will get over our problems and we will become the solution for our world's problems. So for Allah's sake, purchase your tickets, come and support your family. Come and support your ummah. come and support your children and your brothers and sisters. We send salutations and blessings upon Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who truly demonstrated to us and showed us that making an ummah despite differences is possible. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala al-nabi, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad, abdika wa rasulika al-nabi al-ummi, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallama tasliman kathiran kathira. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في ديننا ودنيانا وآخرتنا. نسألك اللهم من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ونعوذ بك اللهم من الشر كله عاجله وآجله. اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Please ensure that our lines are straight, stand shoulder to shoulder. The edge of our heel should be on the edge of the line. If there is a spot in front of you, please fill in that void, in that spot. There are many people still outside waiting to come in. Inshallah, come as close as we can, fill in the gap, form the rows, and ensure the row is complete from both sides before we form a second one.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة.